That's going to be so gross to listen to.
This may be part of what I edit out.
Why?
Welcome back to the Camino is Storytelling, and welcome to the Camino is Storytelling, Sarah.
Hi. I do still have a chip in my mouth.
Good, because we want to be natural in this podcast. Now, where are we?
We are at Finisterre, which is the end of the world, according to some people at some point. Currently on the Camino de Santiago, having passed Santiago de Compostela, looking at the sea.
Just now, we met someone who I'd met at the start of my Camino. I don't know her at all, so I don't want to judge, but she seemed really underwhelmed.
Oh.
She seemed like she'd come to the end and she was a bit disappointed. And as well, something similar which I mentioned to you before, I came down into the first place you see the sea.
Yeah.
And I came down there and I was standing by the ocean like, the sea again, and only a few more kilometres until Finisterre. Then I looked down and there was a swastika painted on the on the thing. So, there's sometimes this feeling of underwhelmedness. But I believe that this podcast is not going to be underwhelming. It's going to be...
Just whelming, maybe.
Yeah, do you feel whelmed?
I do. But I think a lot of people had that, like coming to Santiago, for example, I think it was like such a big goal for everyone. I expected to be underwhelmed. Walking, I've been pretty lucky. I haven't had any troubles. So I've just been like, I haven't suffered enough to like want to end, to want to arrive, to feel so much emotion. But then still, like first time I saw it, I was like, oh my God. And then I got in, I was with a friend. I cried. So, but then other people have it the other way around. So I think it's good to have just no expectations. I mean, the one question that everyone always asks is why are you doing the Camino? For me, it's, I don't know, some people have great big stories as to why. I just had some time, wanted to reflect a bit, and wanted to be outside a bit more. It's been really nice. I went by bus from Berlin to Porto, which took 44 hours in total, I think. It was a bit uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. The bus had nothing of the things that bus should have in order to be comfortable. I had my stuff everywhere to ensure that I have my 2 seats because, you want as much space as you can get. Oh, yeah. And then after a stop, girl, woman, whatever person, my age, I'm 25, came up to me and was like, I'm sat next to this man and he's like taking up so much space. Like, do you mind if I maybe join you? Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, sure. And turns out she was doing the same thing. We got along very well. And so, we were both staying in Porto for a couple of days. And we met up there. And then we're like, should we start together? What's your plan? Because some people want to do it all on their own. Other people are looking to find someone. And we both kind of wanted to do it on our own, but we're also happy to make connections. So we're like, okay, well, we'll start together and then just see what happens. After the first 2 days, I always made sure to walk on my own because I wanted to have some space, reflect and have this experience for myself. But every evening I'd meet up with more and more friends that we'd collected. And so at the end we were maybe 6 people. And so in the end it was a very, very communal experience, but still something that I did for myself. And it was really nice. And now I've continued after Santiago to here, and none of the others did.
But Can we just pause to describe what's going on there? Do you want to describe what's happening in front of us?
There's a very happy group. And they're singing, which I'm sure you can hear. And dancing a little bit, which I'm sorry you can't see. Yeah, I had this first day, and I wanted to do 34 kilometers or something. Was excited to have a long day. I didn't leave late at all, but later than I would have liked to, and I ended up feeling stressed about having to arrive and make that distance. So I was like, okay, at this point I'm gonna stop, sit at a cafe, charge my phone a bit, decide, do I stay here, do I continue? And then a guy came up to me and started speaking to me in German, but in a way I couldn't understand him. And he was just saying something that sounded like he asked where I was headed to, and I said the place that I wanted to go to. And then he was saying, I interpreted it that way, that maybe he lived nearby, or something that he had a car, he could take me there. And I was like, no, I'm fine. And then I made it clear that I have to do some planning and whatever. But then I had already a weird feeling. I was like, I don't want to go to a place that I just told this guy that I was going. So that was also a reason that I was like, okay, maybe I'll just stay here then. But then it was quite early, and the Altberg I went to in the end was super empty. And I still had so much time and so much energy. Looked forward to a really long walk and a nice place to stay at the end, and it was just very unsatisfying. And I just said bye to all my friends. So yeah, that was a bit sad. And then I continued the next day with this feeling. I didn't sleep at all for some reason. And then it was raining so much. Yeah, so that was a bit of a low light, but I'm really glad I pushed through. I made it. I almost booked a bus to somewhere else that was sunny. And it was in this forest, and the kind of forest that's full of vines and fern, and it just seems like super green. It had been raining a lot the past week, so everything just seemed super vibrant and full and healthy. And you walk right next to the river for hours. And then at some point I got to this part where there's like some space to go swimming. I was like, I should go here. But you know, it's in the morning, it's still a bit cold. Also, yeah, you're in the moment, like you're walking. So again, I'm like convincing myself not to go. It's like, no, like you wanted to do this. You bought a bikini, come on. Don't waste your money. And so I was like, well, I'll touch the water. So I like put my hand in and was like, oh, it's quite nice. Yeah. And so I was like, I'll take my shoes off. I'll just like waddle in a bit. I don't even know. I think I might have even left my backpack on for this. So I was just like, I'm just gonna just test it out. And I was stood in there. I was like, oh, this is fresh but nice. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do it. And so I got changed. Of course, as I was changing like my bottoms, because no one was there, like the guy came around the corner. So I'm like, when I pulled them back up and it was like a bit in the distance, we were just kind of like turning in a circle, like unsure what to do. But I just like hopped into the water. And it was so nice. I really like going swimming. I always have. But normally in these situations, I always need someone else to motivate me. So it was really nice that I just convinced myself to do it. Like some people walk past, and pretty much everyone offered to take like a picture, like a video for me, which was quite funny. Now I have lots of pictures of me in this river, which is actually a very nice memory to have. I was just like laughing to myself because I was having such a good time, and I was just so glad that I did it. And yeah, that was so nice. And then I continued, and then later we ended up at the beach at the sea, so I was able to go swimming again. I had some sangria, which was amazing. A lot of good memories though. A lot of great people. I'm so grateful for everyone that I met. People have been so inspiring.
Thanks for sharing. It definitely is the Beatles. La 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 la. La 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 la.
You have a good voice.
I've been told to be quiet.
I mean, I was telling you earlier about my, I did a couple months of a trip in South America. And I told you that I had this goal of not flying as much as possible. So I tried hitchhiking on boats, which was a bit of a stupid idea. I don't recommend this to people. Or if you do, then, you know, don't do it with sketchy people where then afterwards you think you might have smuggled cocaine or something by accident. I started on a nice boat. There was this British guy who's also Swiss and had this yacht, and he was just a nice guy and saw that there was people who were looking for somewhere to hitchhike. There was an Argentinian guy who was doing the same thing, and he just brought us along and cooked for us even. And we saw dolphins that were like swimming along with us. So that was really nice. And then we arrived in Panama. Yeah, and then this guy came asking around because they needed someone for their boat. And then so I joined, and then it was supposed to be 11 days. After 7 days, the motor had problems. We were stranded in Jamaica for a couple of days. Then we continued to the Bahamas, and there I had to wait for his cousin who had a boat to take me to the US. And I was ready to give up. I was so fed up by them. But then suddenly the boat worked, which actually didn't because it started sinking. Oh, wow. I had to like bucket water out of that stupid boat. By that point, I wasn't even scared. I was just so fed up.
The Coast Guard? Those.
Yeah. They came and they were like, yeah, like do this, do that. And I was like helping out. They're like, thank you so much for helping. I was like, I mean, obviously, like I don't want to think. Like, you're being so brave. I was so apathetic, I guess. I was just like, I don't care about this stupid boat. I had my stuff packed and ready to go so that I could just jump onto a different boat with my things. Yeah, it was a journey. It took me a month instead of like the 10 or so days that it said it would take. And in the end, because I wanted to get to the US for my grandma's birthday, I had to take a flight from Miami to where my grandparents live, because otherwise I wouldn't have made it.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for coming on the Camino is storytelling.
Yeah.
And welcome to the end of the world.
Yeah,
well, we're a few kilometers away from it, but we
will be there.
Yeah.
We'll make it.
That was the Camino is storytelling with me, Ronnie, and the amazing Sarah. Sarah and I met as I was wandering into Finisterre, and it was quite amazing that the last few kilometres of the trip were with someone as happy, as smiley, and as wonderful company as Sarah. So I recommend to you all, if you're finishing off a trip, make sure you spend the last few hours with someone called Sarah. Well, maybe not someone called Sarah, but someone that is like Sarah. Right, well, thank you again for listening. Make sure you subscribe to and following the podcast. Drop us a like. Follow what we do on social media. Buy the book. Drop us a virtual coffee. Keep sharing it around the world, and let's see how far we can get it. Thank you very much for listening, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.